Hello, and welcome to Miss Tweety's Parents. I'm Miss Tweety, also known as Margaret Dahlberg, and I like to talk to parents that I come across along the way about all kinds of things, and parenting's usually a part of it. Today, we hear from Loreley. Oh, so many interesting and unconventional. I use that word in the title. I love her creativity and I love her willingness to live such an unconventional life. So here is my chat with Loreley.
No, for me, music is everything. I need to be listening to me like in the car, in my house. And I think Derek, he's kind of... The other day he told me, Mommy, when I'm 70, I will be dancing and singing still. Oh, that was so cute.
I love that.
And like we help them to be healthier with their diet.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do that with the music, right? Because
oh my God, that's a really interesting question.
Because to me, it's trash for the brain.
That is.
I don't know.
You know, my instinct is twofold. First of all, if we have our music on, then that's guiding them. Whether they're there right now, that is like, it's just like we have to live how we want them to live, not how we tell them to live. We have to live how we want them to live.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So with me and kids in music, I let them go through their stages. And they both went through, well, not so much my son. My daughter went through some stages where I was just like, this is not music with substance.
Yeah.
And now she listens to like at 20, she listens to incredible music. So I kind of feel like they become whatever however we influence them. But that's a good question.
But the point is, how much should we push, right? It's the same thing that we teach them and say, look, there, this sugar is not good. This, you just take. And then we try to do the same with music and say, look, this is not really music,
but
right?
Who are we to say?
Yeah, I know. That's the point. But
I mean, that's a whole debate because so music, just the creation of a chord or a sound is an expression. I kind of believe that behind every musical thing comes a level of creativity and talent and skill, even if it's not what you like. Because, I'm listening to you talk, and I mean, I have never liked the fake sounding children's music, say. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking you back a few years, but like the stuff where it didn't sound like real human voices. Yes. Or I had a bone to pick with children's television musical shows where I was like, can't we have real wholesome humans doing real wholesome things?
Yes.
So I do understand what you're saying. I guess I just go back to like, say my kids and I used to play, not play, but if we went on a road trip, we would take turns. So everyone picked a song. So we'd have to listen to one song that would be your equivalent of candy with no nutritional value that say my daughter would pick. And then my son might pick something more classic rock. So that was like, that's okay. And then I would pick something, and then their dad would pick something, and we'd take turns.
Yes.
So everyone got a turn, everyone got to express themselves. But at the same time, we knew that we were ongoing influencing them.
Right. No, that's great.
But I don't know. I love it. We haven't even said, hi, Loreley. Thanks for joining me today. And, because you've really just gotten into this. How do we know when to intervene?
Exactly.
How do we know? How much do we? Because I do agree, those crummy sounds don't do a lot energetically for them.
Yes. And then I think nowadays, I don't know, maybe I'm being too, the old parent that says that back then was better. But I
old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned. For example, nowadays I see Derek and his friends, and I talk to other parents, they don't want to watch a movie.
Yeah, they
don't. They
want
to watch YouTube, very short videos.
Yeah.
Or series.
And commercials.
So, there is a lot of junk dopamine.
Yes.
Everywhere. Music's like that.
Yes.
All these videos, everything, So I feel compelled to intervene more than what my parents did with myself.
What did your parents do? Nothing? Just sort of
Nothing.
left you. Yeah, same. Yeah.
We just were out of the street. Nobody was there. No adult.
But there wasn't as much crap back then, and it wasn't as easy to access.
Absolutely.
So, sure, there was crappy food, but you had to walk to a candy store. It wasn't at every grocery store back then. You couldn't watch any television you wanted back then. Like you had to find things. There was crappy stuff on, but who wanted to watch that? Like it wasn't compelling to kids. So in a way they gave us free reign, but we didn't have the reason, like the ocean of access.
Yes. No, all this, the internet, information now, right? We gotta be always upfront.
Yeah.
What is he going to hear from his friends? Imagine, 10 years old. My parents were even talking about drugs. That was not a thing.
Let alone pornography.
My God, no.
Like maybe a kid their dad had a Playboy magazine buried away or something like that. But nothing like what they're accessing and the advertising and the it is a tough time to have young children.
Very, very tough. And then you have the other side. The boys, they have this aggressiveness in them. They like to wrestle.
Yeah, they have innately the testosterone, right? They're aggressive, they're assertive. It's just inborn. It's wiring.
Yes.
And for most.
For most, not all, but for most. And then in the classroom, you see 99.9% of the ones that are making noise or being, rowdy, they are boys.
Yes.
And then you go to the school and then it's no touch, no wrestle, no this, no that. And also, I think we are on a stream. For example.
On an extreme? Is that?
On the bully. Everything is bully. And then
extreme.
The parents just rush to their kids and then talk to other parents about it. And in my mind, it's the opposite. If Derek is being teased, because I don't like, bully is too strong. You know what I mean? They tease each other all the time.
Yes. Bullying is victimizing them. It's not being mean to them. There's another step beyond that.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it's okay to be mean.
Exactly. And then to me, when Derek was also being teased, because, each kid can be in both sides.
Yeah.
Okay? When you give the opportunity.
Yeah.
There is no one
None of our
victim
kids
for
are
100%. Yes. In that situation. I look at that as an opportunity to help him, to stand up.
Yes.
I didn't rush to the parents.
No.
Because then what am I teaching my kid?
Yes.
The worst thing ever. Don't have grit. Don't stand up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. And it's such a fine line because early childhood days. So why is it I'll see, take a cross section of kids, 2 or 3 years old, and someone, say there's a boy or a girl that grabs something out of their hand. Some children are like, hey, give it back in their own 2-year-old language. Some children just give it up and they don't care. But some children, you can tell there's like a victimized personality. And I think that's what all of us parents are worried about. It's like, we don't want to intervene. We want them to learn the grit. But what if they're not accessing it?
But
and
then is when we have to be there. I think the parents nowadays, they are not there.
Okay. So
they are not there.
Okay, so I love this because you don't mean physically.
Yes.
You mean so unpack this.
Yes. So let's say every time, after school, I'm looking at my kid, observing his behavior. How do others' behaviors impact him and what is his response? I'm going to coach him right there.
Yes.
I'm not going to reach out to the parents. I don't care. I'm just coaching my kid.
Right.
But parents are there talking to others, looking at the clock because they want to go home to eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the process before the person.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
We eat at 5:30.
Okay.
So we have to go because Dad is waiting. But wait, there is something brewing here. I never left my kid get out of the playground with an unsolved matter.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Right.
Like he was fighting or somebody was teasing him. I would never say, or he was crying. I said, no, you stay.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit down here. You solve it. And then we leave.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And then sleeping time. You know what time the kids want to talk to you? When they are in bed.
I know. The end of the night when we're exhausted.
Yes.
And we're depleted. We're out of
everything, all energy. We are like, sleep. I don't understand.
Right.
I am just there. I am depleted. I'm lost energy, but I'm there. I know when he start moving the bed, he has something to tell me. Yesterday, I wanted him to sleep more because he was tired, but it was 10:30. And I said, do you want to talk? And I know he likes to read to relax. I wanted to sleep, right? I said, okay, let's go to the living room. I will give you a warm milk. Nice. Let's find a book. And then after he read the whole book, then we spoke.
Really?
Yes. And then he stopped because he calmed down because we had an argument before.
Oh, okay.
Because he had, he was upset because I'm reducing his gaming time.
Right.
Because it makes sense now. I said, Derek is not, you are growing up. You have more responsibilities. You cannot be, he's not gaming a lot. But even though we want to just
it doesn't matter. I think the general consensus of mothers, mostly of boys, is that it doesn't matter how much they game, they want more.
Yes.
They can game 8 hours a day and they want 9.
Totally.
Or 8 minutes,
yes, they have no sense of time.
They just can't get enough of it. Yeah.
It's
and we're competing
dangerous.
with that. Yeah.
It is dangerous.
That's what scares me more than the crappy music is the inauthentic reality.
Yes.
It feels so real to them and you can't compete. Like, real life interaction is not going to have as much dopamine hit.
Yes. Changing to that has been a fight since the beginning. We always knew that that's bad.
Yeah.
Because many parents believe that's good. I don't know why. They believe, it enhances your strategy capacity. I said, sorry, I never met a C level that told me, oh, I'm better at my job because I gamed a lot when I was going. I said, that's nonsense, right?
I think my response to that compassionately is that parents who, for whatever reason, have allowed their children more screen time, maybe it's because they're super busy, they have, other stressors. I think that's what they tell themselves to convince themselves that it's okay and to assuage their, sense of guilt or conflict.
No, and you know why? The main reason people use that, yes, that's one. The second, as a reward.
Oh, for sure.
Because then do your homework and you have no problem. And then you game an hour.
Yeah.
Do that. And then you have that terrible, in my mind, connection between you do a bad thing now to get the good thing later, which is the game.
Very interesting. So you do not advocate for making gaming a reward?
No. What I try to do is, first is to educate Derek. I show him like the Roblox CEO talking. I say, see, this is money, Derek. And then I subscribe to a newsletter of a Canadian guy that was game addicted. He got himself out of it. He's very good, this guy. And he has this newsletter. He has some other...
What's his name? I think
Cam. But I subscribe, and not because my kid is addicted now, but I want to see the tips. For example, he sent the 10 guidelines. You know what? One of them, the many parents don't even look. Never, ever let your kid wake up to game.
Oh, totally.
And
yes.
there are so many. They wake up earlier.
To game.
Just to game before school. That is a damage.
To me, they shouldn't game on school days.
Yes, we have that.
Maybe at the end of the day,
no,
maybe a certain period of time.
We remove it. We tried many things, okay, because we didn't know.
Yeah.
But now I think we got down to a better 0 during the weekdays.
Yeah.
And then now Derek is going to have like a gaming marathon of 2 hours on a Saturday with friends.
Nice. So always making it social.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
2 hours and that's it.
Oh, my God. So much is becoming clear to me now just talking to you. First of all, You are originally from
I was born in Argentina, but then I was raised in Brazil.
Raised in Brazil, but and then you did live in Mexico City.
Oh yeah, then I lived 10 years in Mexico City.
Yeah.
My son was born there.
Yeah.
Then I moved to US for 2 years to work. Yeah. Then I traveled for a year with my 3 years old, and then we landed in Calgary.
Calgary, which is how we met through music.
Yes.
So you are a woman that is so clearly both clear and passionate about how you raised Derek, to the point I want listeners to know that you had a very ambitious career in business. Yes. And once Derek was a certain age, you were like, it's more important to me that I spend quality time parenting this kid and I raise this kid from a place of presence, what you just spoke of.
Yes.
To the point where you stopped working. And Marcelo stopped working as well for the most part. You guys retired in a way that, and I'm not saying you weren't like billionaires.
No.
But you said, we're going to make big lifestyle changes.
Yes.
So we can be there for this kid and raise him the way we believe should be raised. Absolutely. So you have incredible conviction.
Yes. But it was not always like that, because Marcelo and myself, since we met, we knew that we wanted to be able to choose.
Yeah.
And kids were not in our horizon. I never wanted to have kids, actually.
Yes. Oh,
never.
So that, I find so often people who say that are the ones that are the most, have the most conviction about how they raise their kids.
So, and then
So why not? I'm curious. What was your reasoning?
I don't know. It was like, I loved my career.
Yeah.
And I was just totally immersed in that.
Yeah.
I would take any opportunity to travel. I was working very long hours.
Yeah.
Loved my life. And it's just too adult. So, if I didn't show up for the weekend because I had to work, it's okay.
I love it. So what changed?
Then my doctor said, your clock is ticking. Because I was already 36.
Right.
Marcelo and myself, we made a meeting. Because he was not pushing for it. I was not pushing for it. If I had 10 more years, I would have taken, I'm sure. I wouldn't even think about it.
Wow.
Yeah. We were like, work hard, play hard. Because when we took vacations, we would do hikings and go, we were going to really do adventure stuff.
Yeah, you are adventurous people. You're you don't go to the beach and
the resort, never. No. So we are always writing nature. And so we loved our life. But then the question was, okay, nobody regrets, right? Yeah. Having a kid.
Yeah, but they regret not having kids. Yeah.
Yes. And then you said, okay, so let's try. And then I always wanted to do something totally different. Said, okay, let's try to have 2 at the same time. And then I went to a doctor. The doctor didn't want to do it because I didn't have any problems. You just use those things when you have a problem.
Yeah.
And then I said, problem is to have 2 pregnancies. I said, that's not, ethical. I don't want to have 2 pregnancies. It's so painful, right? And then we actually did a boy and a girl. But then it happened to me a very weird thing that the boy stayed in my uterus and the girl went to my trumps.
Oh,
I lost heterotopic it's called.
Okay, so hang on a second. Okay. So you did in vitro.
Then we did in vitro, and then they selected a boy and a girl.
And you had a boy and a girl, but one of them didn't take, and Derek took.
No, it was not Derek yet.
Oh, okay. So
the girl went to the trap heterotopic because the other one stayed in the uterus. Atopic is when just one goes.
Yeah.
So that time I didn't know. I came to visit my sister in Canada and I felt a very strong pain, and I still kept going. I went to the doctor. I almost died. I started to. And then they wanted the uterus because they had to do the surgery. It was not.
Oh, my goodness.
We lost both. Plus my 2 trumps, so I couldn't have kids. Now I couldn't have kids with the normal way anymore, right?
Wow.
Because I made that decision.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So then.
Wow, so what a lesson in that. Like, your desire to control and intervene and
Yes.
and it really backfired. And then you couldn't even naturally. Holy moly,
I
that
know,
sounds
I
like a
know.
real learning.
Yeah, but I think I will do that again. I was not a person that you can say that I was very sensitive. I'm not very. I can't.
No, I don't see you that way.
Yes, I'm not.
You're no nonsense. I was thinking of the words because it's like, how do I describe you? Very good natured and very no nonsense.
And even I was discussing with the doctor. He said, "Oh, you know more than me," because I found the technology so amazing, right? If you think about it, you could choose.
Wow.
You could even, they run tests to remove the ones that, I mean, some people don't really agree with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean?
ethical, right?
Yeah. So you can actually run tests to see if they have like a disease.
Wow. Yes.
We had all the DNA.
Yes. Right.
Both of us, Marcelo, DNA tests and that. So then I said, you know what? Not suffering emotional, but cut. And then I had to go back to work, which it was good for me, right? I always love it to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's a big loss. Like, that's a big loss, the miscarrying and the ectopic pregnancy and the damage done. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. But remember, we made a very cold decision.
And you're pragmatic. You're like, all right,
it was not like,
now what?
That's my life. We always thought about it. We would be happy either way.
Okay.
I mean, that was, that was the, we live it 20 years like that. We can live another 40.
Yeah.
So then after 2 years, we said, you know what? Do you want to try again? Yeah, let's try again. And I don't suffer during the IVF. I don't do some.
No, some women.
It's very exhausting I did 7.
7 IVF.
Yeah, because I was already near 40. You know what I would do different this time? I would freeze my eggs at 20 years old.
Yeah, when they're healthy.
Yes.
So is it your egg though?
Yes.
Okay, so Derek is 100% both of yours.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
But we did think about doing, in US, I don't know here, but they have this service.
Oh, for sure. Surrogacy.
Not just surrogacy, is that you choose, you send your picture, they find a student that looks like you, and you buy the eggs.
I know people that have had multiple miscarriages. Multiple miscarriages who end up just going, you know what,
it's
I'm
an
done.
Alternative.
Yeah, I'll use someone else's egg. I'll host the pregnancy. And they've had great success.
But we did not do that one. So then in the last cycle, my doctor, she said, you know what, we're going to do a normal cycle and put just these 2 without stimulation.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So Derek was frozen for 3 months. And I have a picture with 4 cells.
Oh my God.
Yes.
What? That stuff is amazing. God, that blows my mind. Like, I don't know enough about it.
4 cells. And
Derek at 4 cells. Not many people can say that. You know, it's like, here you are at the 6-week ultrasound, maybe, but the 4 cells.
Exactly.
I wonder how old they would be at 4 cells. Like, an hour? 5 minutes?
No, days.
Days.
Like 5 days.
Okay.
6 days.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
That's amazing. And you hit the ground running. I mean, you are clearly, and I think this is the case. People that are successful in their careers or successful in their hobbies, they hit the ground running as parents. They have that same ambition to do the best they possibly can.
But then it took a while for me, to tell you the truth.
Okay,
please. It didn't really hit my awareness. Because
tell me more.
When he was born, I started to work like 2 days after. Because everybody at work was betting when I would make the first call. I couldn't be there, right? Because I had in Mexico, they only give you 3 months. Okay. Right? But then I worked all the 3 months.
So where was Derek?
So we had a cooker. We had a nanny during the day, nanny during the night.
Wow.
Yes.
Right, because this is Mexico.
We have a crew.
It's a bit of a different
This is Mexico.
world.
Both of us working well.
Yeah.
Good companies, good positions, and
probably not as expensive to have a night nurse and a day nurse.
No. I have one picture.
Sounds ideal in so many ways.
It's just one picture, so funny. My dad took it because he couldn't believe. I had a phone. I was in a call with the company,
Wow.
The pump in one breast and Derek feeding on the other. And I was making milk for the night.
Okay, so what the heck?
Totally.
So what changed? Like,
what happened is one day, Marcelo told me, I think Derek had like 7 months. And then Marcelo called me at my work and said, Derek hit his head. So I'm going to the hospital. You should come, right? And then I go. And when I get there, you know who Derek hugged? The nanny.
oh,
Then I said, that's
what's
not
wrong
right.
with this picture?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Then I said, no, this is not right.
Wow, that's huge.
Yes.
And to think, because here you are now, the woman who's lying with him at night.
Yeah.
And he's 10, 11,
10. Yeah.
And, making sure you're there with him all. That was a game-changing moment.
Yes. And then we had plans to retire, but then we said, you know what? That's it. Then I just did 2 more years in US, kind of to close the cycle, because I wanted also to make sure that I did everything I wanted in my job. I could have continued climbing, but it was not as satisfying anymore.
It's like what almost every mother talks about on this podcast is how your priorities just change.
And then, you know what? It was hard because imagine 20 years living that life with Marcelo. But at the end, it was very good. And it's like people that talk to me nowadays that met me in the job, they cannot believe I'm the same person, right?
I mean, it's an extreme version in a way, but a very similar story to so many of us.
Of course.
And, well, I'm curious then, because for many of us women, some of us have to work, some of us don't, but eventually we kind of start coming up for air and kind of going, okay, now what? Because they don't need me every moment of the day. Derek's now 10.
Yes.
So has there been for you a transition stage where you're like, what are my needs now? Because I'm not a career woman anymore. My son is getting busier. Have you gone through a blip there?
So I have many friends that crave that a lot, having time for themselves.
Yeah.
The difference is that I had my kid at 41.
Yeah.
After reaching whatever I wanted, traveling like a lot.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
You lived a full life.
I am very much settled.
Yeah.
It's like, they say, oh, if you need, you can leave Derek so you and Marcelo have your time. Yeah, we don't need that. I'm good. And then, the normal things that everybody, I try to cook healthier every time. So I spend time.
Yes.
Before, I never cook. I hated to cook.
But the responsibility of raising another human life, again, it changes everything.
Changes.
From what they're putting in their bodies.
Totally.
What they're listening to, like we talked about. What they're doing with their brains. Yeah.
It's the extra mile that you give, right?
Okay, so you clearly know what works. So what are the things does anything trip you up as a mom?
Yes. I think the main point is not to be afraid to show your kid that you are a human and you are going to make many mistakes. Yeah. I apologize to Derek many times. Many times.
So what kind of mistakes do you make?
So I get very... I don't know if it's aggressive, the word. I can raise my voice when something...
You have a big energy.
Yes.
Reactive.
And I can react very strongly. So,
and he's quite sensitive to sound and energy.
Yes.
I mean, I remember I taught him when he was 4 and 5.
Yes. He's more sensitive than I am.
Right.
That's for sure. But not that he's sensitive. You know what I mean?
No,
he
I
has
just mean
balance.
Because he's not naturally a big, emotionally energetic person. He might be more sensitive to that.
Yes. And then he taught me, right? I am changing because of him. And then every night, the nights that I don't sleep is because I know I did something wrong. And I'm just trying to do, how can I handle this better, right?
Yeah.
Because we just grew up this way and then we have all these triggers.
Yes, we have our triggers and we're wired a certain way. Like that emotional reactiveness, like, there are assets to that. That can be a good thing, because you're getting it out of your system.
2 things work very well. One is when we make fun. For example, one day he didn't want to do his Chinese words for the test, so I grab everything and then I throw on the floor. And I was so full of energy. But then later, when I calmed down, I said, Derek, let's make a theater. Let's see how mommy monster came out, right? I made fun of myself, right? It heals him, right? Because he felt, oh, my mom doesn't love me, right?
Of course.
Because they don't see the context.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and making, to me, any way we can make anything a game.
Yes.
And particularly making fun of ourselves.
And the other one is the rewind. When you do it again, different.
Oh.
Remember, you were sitting here and then you tell me, I don't want to do it. Right? Yeah. I make him say the same things.
Yeah.
And then I behave different.
That's a good idea.
I apologize. Yeah. Right? I said, Derek, mommy had a good intention, but it came out very badly. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Derek.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I think the more creativity and the more fun I've brought in, the better my kids have done. And you'd think, because I'm an early childhood teacher and a creative, that I would have had a bottomless resource of that. But it was so much harder with my kids because I had so much more invested with them. And it's those moments where you're just so like,
yes,
those are the hardest moments to access creativity.
But it's hard, right? Yeah. Because you are there. It's hard for me to access that creativity on the spot.
Yeah.
I usually, unfortunately, still do it after.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, isn't that all of us? Like, I think we can't stop our children from suffering, and sometimes at our hand. So sometimes it will be because mom got too angry, whatever mom did. And so things become out of alignment and they don't feel good for a while. That process of writing it and making it better is so important. And it creates, as I put it with my other interview, your heart opens up. And then you have a really rich experience with your child that you wouldn't have had if all that hadn't gone
perfectly.
Yeah.
No, I love what you were saying because actually I agree 100%. That's the other thing I told Derek, look, some people are going to be like mommy. They're going to scream. Yeah. But you have to create your own fortress.
Yeah.
Your reaction. You cannot allow other people, even mommy or daddy, to change your emotions. In a certain way, I did it wrong, but you have to learn from it. I mean, I don't know how much he can.
Well, and this is going to be life. Like, it's like every couple, whether it's friendship, marriage, relationship, usually one of you is going to be louder and get angrier and more upset and bigger.
Yes.
And one of you is going to be, the avoidant versus the confrontational.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have that everywhere in life. And so understanding that you're different and that you have to figure out how to be you.
Yeah.
And of course, he's young. He doesn't necessarily understand that. But if you're modeling it circles us back to the beginning. We have to model what we want our children to do.
Absolutely. They copy more of our actions than what we say to them, right? You have to model, you have to act as you want them to act.
Yeah.
100%. And it's a catechesis because not once, again and again and again.
I know they really call us out to make sure we are living our best lives.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it is. Maybe you've already answered this, but pregnant Loreley with all these plans and goals and ideas, is there something you've learned that you kind of wish you had been more prepared for before when you were pregnant?
I could have sheltered Derek less.
Yes.
I think at the beginning.
You were overprotective a little bit?
Yes. I think I should have been fostering his independence.
Yeah.
His ability to solve his own problems. I mean, at that age, at each age.
But that would be tough because, again, looking at your wiring, what you just described, a woman who worked for 20 years and you were in control of everything.
Yeah.
I think all of us mothers struggle with that need for control. And so when you have a little baby and you're worried about him surviving, him being okay, it totally makes sense to me that you needed time to learn that you kind of had to let go of that.
Yeah, but I think it's like a contradiction because if I look at my childhood, I became independent because my parents were not there. If I
know,
fought,
right?
And
Yeah.
why I did not make that connection? I mean,
Yeah.
that makes no sense.
It's weird because we are all trying to do better than what we had growing
Yeah.
up. Whatever it is, we're all trying to do better. But we also couldn't be who we are now if it wasn't for whatever.
Right.
It's all such a conundrum. As someone now with older children, it's an ongoing stage of realizing I actually don't have a lot of say in how all this plays out. There's a whole other side of things I just can't control. And most of it is this other human has his own or her own set of DNA.
Absolutely. But the point, and then sometimes I think, for example, other things, right? I always grew up eating a lot of sugar and
Yes.
nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
So I was kind of more like loose with Derek
Yeah.
because I didn't want to be like everybody else. Oh, just one piece of candy. My mom
Right.
never stopped me to do. Now it's a challenge with Derek,
Right.
because he loves sweet because I was like that.
Yes. And I'll tell you this, Loreley. Here's my study because I have 2 children and I do not have a healthy relationship with food. So I was like, okay, I don't want my kids to be this way. So I was also loose around, I did not want them to have any hangups around food. Like, because my theory was they will learn and they won't have any weird hangups and then they'll just find their way. One of them has a great relationship with food and eating, and one of them is more like me. I would say in some ways I did one of them a favor because it worked for them. But I
know.
the other one, would it have helped the other one if I had been more disciplined or more controlling? I don't know. We'll never know.
And you never know. And I know what you mean because we have some close family, and then the mom was very controlling, one candy, blah, blah, blah. The boy is perfect. The girl, anorexia.
Right.
And depression.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've recently read a great book for anyone who has sensitivity to sugar, which I definitely do and is at the root of so many of my food issues. This book is all about keeping your glucose levels in line. But what she says is just because one person needs to control their glucose levels, you, Loreley, my sister, you can eat more sugar and your body's okay.
Right.
I eat more sugar and we're not even talking that much. And what's the word? She talks about it all the time. Inflammation and bloated. So
Right.
you can't eat, you don't know, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he eats a lot of sugar, but he has a lot of energy.
I know,
So-
right? And he's a 10-year-old boy
He's
who's
a
going to
10
be
years old
tall
boy,
and
then-
active.
yeah, I'm trying just to tell Derek, look, Derek, it's balanced.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd always try to, eat something healthy first.
Yes.
Like,
The other that I debate, right, is all this discipline on wake up, sleep, eat at the same time every day.
Yes.
I am not like that.
yeah.
First, I don't like routine, never like it. That kills me. I need different things.
Yes.
I'm not like, oh, do this and then that.
Same.
Oh, that's so painful. So we didn't do that to Derek. Of course, he goes to sleep at 11:30 if he wants. He wants
Right.
to draw.
Yeah.
And then he was going to stay at midnight. And then in the morning, he's tired, but he goes.
Yes.
And he's okay. I mean, theoretically.
Yes.
And Marcelo, I think he prefers more a discipline thing. But my point is, if you teach your kid to be so disciplined, to me, the most important skill is to adapt.
Well, and speaking of which, so because of your ability to adapt, I think if that didn't work for Derek, you would know that. You know, if he was struggling, some of those parents who are more concerned about bedtime, maybe their child's more sensitive. And maybe you would have become that, gotten more disciplined because your child needed more structure. Who knows?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like,
And then if you think about it,
Yeah.
and nowadays, these kids, they have so many activities. Again,
Yes.
no free play.
yeah.
Very little. Nobody gives value to free play.
Yeah.
Where they are going to fight, they're going to reconcile. We had a lot of that, and probably you too,
Yep.
growing up.
Oh, I just walked out the door
Exactly.
and hung out in the park all day.
And
yeah.
you know what? The word I'm bored did not exist.
Yeah.
I never went to my mom and said, I'm bored. Never. Because being hanging out, sitting on the grass was enough
Yeah.
for hours. And we were,
Well, and I honestly, I would say it. And what do you think they'd say? Go outside.
they don't even understand.
Go practice. Go. They'd give me a suggestion, and that's not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I just wanted someone to entertain me.
Exactly. The kids, they don't know what to do with their free time because we are not allowing them to have that time where they have to decide.
Yeah. I do feel like our protectiveness over our children is unwarranted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, children are safer now than ever.
Yes.
I have friends whose kids are in their 20s and they're not taking the train. In Calgary. Like, I know there's problems in some of the C train stations, but I don't know. There are people who will make a decision and allow their child to do something risky, and then that child will get harmed.
Yes.
And then they don't forgive themselves and they wish they hadn't. And we're all trying to avoid that. I just don't think that we're supposed to live that way.
No.
Personally.
They have to take risks.
Yeah.
They have to. 100%. And that was the conversation I had with Derek yesterday. That's when he was upset. Not just the gaming, but also that, his 10, he's going to start having some independence.
Yes.
Right? We are giving him money. He goes to the cafeteria. He goes to the 7-Eleven. He goes around in the neighborhood with his scooter.
Yeah.
Right? But he has responsibilities. He needs to take care of the money.
Yes.
He cannot be spending, like, I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and spend $10. No, you don't.
Yes.
Right? If I'm calling him on his watch, he has to pick up.
Yes.
So the point is, there are ways to mitigate the risk, but there is a risk. He's going to cross, right? Shoganapi.
Yeah.
But my point is, if you don't give that,
yeah.
What is the other solution that he's going to stay with me when he's 20 and I have to drive him, because many boys don't want to drive nowadays.
I know, yes.
They don't want to drive.
Oh, I know. My son was slow to drive, but I tell you, he was on the train all over the city from the age of 12. And I was just lucky. He had friends. They were always on the bus and the train. My kid, and as he got older, and he could be out at midnight for I knew, at bus stations.
Absolutely. And you just need to let them go. We have to let them go.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet we get assaulted with information and stories. And again, for every 1,000 kids that are doing just fine, you'll hear one story that's just so awful that, it makes you not want to.
But then, being raised in Latin America cities, and then I'm here.
Right. Growing up, my parents were New Yorkers.
Oh.
And so, we never locked our door when we left the house in Calgary. But I still, and having lived in the U.S. myself, I still look at Calgary as pretty chill. I feel like it's important that the kids have those scary moments where they're like...
Absolutely. It's healthy for them.
Yeah.
For growing up, I don't know. We want our kids, it's like we are raising our kids to be with us forever.
Yeah. Well, and I hate to say it, there's this awful lottery. Some kids they don't make it at all.
Yes.
Or they suffer. I can't say my kids, I was hands off with my kids, and there were, there were impactful things that I think if I hadn't raised them to be quite so independent, they may not have suffered.
Mm-hmm.
I have the benefit of being at that stage where I'm looking at myself and how I did it, and looking at all my friends and how they did it, and all our kids are kind of the same age. And I got to say, the friends who did things opposite to me, well, they have their own headaches.
Yes.
And I had my headaches. And
yes.
I just don't, people who did things perfectly that I thought, man, I wish I could have their personalities and their money and their access and their resources. And they've had awful problems that I wouldn't want. So it's it is a bit, there's this lottery aspect of it.
Because the combination between the DNA with the environment influence.
Yes, the external influences.
And then now we know that these things connect to each other, and they can actually activate some of your DNA that is sleeping. That's what I read. I don't know if it's
that makes sense.
I agree.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is amazing. Loreley, we hit the ground running. I love what we've talked about. I'm mindful of the time. So what I want to do next is I want to play you the start of your song. These songs to me start out as sort of an impression I have of a person. Mm-hmm. I just sort of ask, what is Loreley? And, so good-natured and so fun and positive. But, no nonsense. And there's definitely a like, don't fuck with Loreley aspect. Like, you know, you've got it. And it's good. It's really good. And so I just sat down with that, and this is what I've come up with. So this is your motive.
You can connect to people in a way, and you can actually explain in words, because that's a hard thing, right? Like I am like more a bullet person. You know what I mean?
This is the weird thing about me, because as my daughter will say, I'm not a very tactful person, and empathy is hard for me, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because I have this ability. I can't explain.
Yeah, you just have this connection, and you have your mind process to understand it, right?
Yeah.
And let it transform in art, right? It's
I guess
amazing.
so.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you. Is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about? That was something you cared about? I mean, we really...
think remove comfort from life.
I love that. You will hear me. I will go on a soapbox about air conditioning. Because my soapbox is nobody wants to be out of their comfort zone.
Yes. And that's what causes all this depression, anxieties, and because we are so sheltered. Anything is a big problem.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. I heard a term, my physiotherapist friend used it, but I think it should be used for everybody. Catastrophizing. That people catastrophize, and you'll see it all the time. It'll be like this giant drama.
I know.
And when I hear that, I'm like, you need more. You obviously don't have enough to do in your life. Do it and move on. Like, make the right decision. Like, nothing has to be.
Absolutely. And then, as you said at the beginning, when we decided to retire, we are not billionaires, right? We got to downsize.
Yeah, you had to make difficult choices.
Yes. And then that's why we planned that trip, because we had to spend 12 months with one luggage of clothes for the three of us. Marcelo was waiting how many socks we could.
Wait, one bag for the three, not one each?
No.
One bag,
because we had to, we had to carry Derek's stroller.
Equipment, yes.
And he was just 3 years old. That was already a lot. Plus the car seat, because we would go, rent some.
So you challenge yourself to figure out how to live with less.
And that was such an amazing experience. And I'm so glad we did it, because that was the main point.
Yes. You said something to me earlier today that I got such a kick out of. You said, we moved many years ago, but it still looks like we are living as nomads.
Yes, because people go there, and then my dining table is my camping table, right?
Love it.
People say, when
I love it. Yeah, you do have a beautiful home, and I was there, and it was very sparse. You know, like
we don't have a lot of stuff.
But that also speaks well too, because again, you know what you care about, and it's not whether or not you have matching fancy furniture in your home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Derek also had his little backpack, and we said, Derek, is only what you can carry. Because you know how kids are.
I do. Oh my God. I've had to learn in my lifetime, just as you, and I say it all the time, like when I was still married, we were in very good finances and comfortable, and it was a much easier life financially than when I split up. And yet I've said this before, I've always been happier the more I've downsized, and the less I've had, within reason, of course. And I mean, the more disciplined I've been too with money, the happier I've been.
Of course. Totally. Yeah. I totally understand that. And then with Derek, after we came and established, we wanted to continue. And that's why we started to tent camping.
Yeah.
You know, like 50 days, 40 days in a row.
Yes.
Because then Derek, no afraid of bugs. You want something, you got to go to the washroom, go outside,
you got to walk.
Again, you got to walk.
Or just go behind the tree.
Right, exactly. You know, it's like trying to give him a little bit of this uncomfortable life and enjoy what is important.
Yeah, and experiencing the sense of overcoming the discomfort and accomplishing something.
Yes.
Whether it is literally just going to the bathroom or whether it's having a beautiful fire with marshmallows and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you cannot have it all because, you know, you don't have a fridge.
Yeah.
You got to eat whatever it is.
Yes.
There. So it's hopefully it's things that he's going to take with him.
I have no doubt that he will. I have no doubt that he will. And this is amazing. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for inviting. So nice.
Okay, well, I really enjoyed that conversation. I feel like I learned some things and, just found that all very refreshing. Yes. And since this podcast, Loreley reached out and she sent me this text. Since Derek started using the school bus, he is now allowed to use screen in the bus Mondays and Wednesdays. That's about 30 minutes each one of those days. And she said it's an evolving theme, but she wanted to make sure we had the latest. And I think that's great because it goes to show that she's trying to find that place between her conviction and reality, but also that's another social aspect. The bus, hanging out with friends, and using the screen. Not a bad compromise. And her song, Unconventional Creativity is kind of an abstract name, but I just felt like both those words needed to be there because I admire Loreley for just both her unconventional approach to life and the unconventional life she's lived and her ability to bring creativity to such a pragmatic, practical, I thought it was pretty cool. So you'll hear in the music, there's very tonal piano music for the most part. And then the strings bring in dissonance that, you know, just kind of goes, wait a minute, this isn't typically what we're expecting, which is the whole idea. Loreley is not typical and what anyone would expect in just the most beautiful way. So it's going to play us out. I'll mention you can find a playlist on Spotify called Miss Tweedy's Parents. I think my name on Spotify is Miss T, MISS capital T, but you could reach out to me and I can hook you up with it. And hey, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Download the music of the artists you like if you're streaming, or oh gosh, buy it. Imagine that. But when you download, it helps them, pays them a tiny bit more, I think 0.003 cents more, something like that. But the algorithms take you more seriously that way too. So anyway, Unconventional Creativity will play us out. Have a great day. Thank you for listening.